All right. Welcome to She Said, where we chat the tricks and treats of the business of film and TV,
shine a light on women who've empowered us,
and dish on plot twists in our life we just had to say.
Let's do.
In today's episode, we will be getting a bit magical,
finding out our big three as housewives,
and turning into a villainess Joker. And how did we get here? I am obviously Kay.
And I am obviously Hannah.
And today we have a very special guest, writer, director, and producer, Bri LeRose. So I met Bri through the Women of Color Unite Start With 8 program, and I was honestly trying to think of what year it was now, because don't you feel like it feels like it was only a year ago or so? But when I was looking back, I think it was 2021.
Yeah, that's right.
Which we're in 2024. How have I known you?
It's been a long time.
Time has gone by so fast. But Bri has been my mentor for years now, as we mentioned, and it seems that we had quite a bit in common from the jump. So naturally, we connected on that. Even our birthdays, if I recall, are like a week apart, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah,
indeed. September Queens.
Oh my God, Libra Queen.
No.
Oh no, Virgo.
Yeah.
Virgo, yeah, Libra. I'm a Virgo.
Oh my gosh. Okay, September Queens.
Yeah. September. Yeah. We're sticking with that. I happen to know that you have a comedy background beyond just writing comedy in television, but a newer experience that you had semi-recently was directing Maria Bamford, who you've worked with previously, her last special, Local Act. So can you talk about that experience and also a bit about what directing something like that, which is, I assume it was live and then you were directing it live, but it was also recorded, so then it would be released later on. Just for like myself and also the listeners who don't know. Obviously, we all know what a director is, but this is kind of a different medium to be directing in.
For me, it was the perfect first bigger directing project. I had done a lot of smaller short form stuff for digital and web series and things like that. And I'd done a lot of live directing as well when I was doing comedy live. But, and I noticed this a lot, especially when I talk to younger women, younger people of color, anyone who's looking to break into directing, but isn't, has never had the experience before. It's like, well, there's so much I don't know. Well, I don't know all the different lighting terms. I don't know how the cameras work. I don't know all these things. I feel that way too. And sometimes that's enough of a roadblock to even trying directing. So something like a live comedy special was a perfect first at bat, where it felt like, first of all, Maria is a pro. Maria does not need performance notes. Maria does not need buttons for her jokes. She doesn't need alts. She doesn't need that, So it was a thrill that she asked me. And mostly it was just the day was about, for me, from my perspective, was about keeping the train moving, keeping spirits high. She wanted to film early in the morning, which is something she's been doing a lot lately.
Yeah, comedy, that is unheard of, I feel.
Tell me about it. We filmed at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, which was amazing. But she's been doing these 8 and 9 a.m. shows at the venue where we filmed Public Displays of Altadena, which is a great venue. In Altadena, ton of clowns, ton of all comedy, really wonderful neighborhood community space. She wanted to spotlight that. She lives very close by, and it's sort of been a good little home for her. Really wonderful owners and people, and just a very willing audience that gets, let's say, weirdos. So she's been doing these early shows first because she feels that that's when she's at her best and her sharpest, and also because her theory was if I do an early show and say it's a taping of my special, the only people who are going to come to that are people who love me. She was I don't want to be fighting the audience. I don't want to be convincing them. And I've seen her live a million times. She's been my favorite stand-up for over a decade now. And sometimes
so awesome that you can work for her now. That's why.
I know, very surreal, amazing. But sometimes you see her or people, who do very specific, unique comedy like her in these rooms where people are expecting, the most middle of the road type of Jerry Seinfeld-ish stand-up. And you're not getting that with Maria. So I think she's getting more and more intentional about the environments that she sets when she's performing. So from my perspective, it was just like, okay, how can we work with that and build it out to make it feel like it's not 10 a.m. when you watch it? You know, like we got to set the energy at the top. We have to like intro the crowd. We got to set them up, let them know what to expect. And Maria also, when she reached out to me, she was like, I want to do something around the theme of like community. I want it to be more than just like my hour. I don't really have any ideas. Like, what do you think? And we're both Midwestern. I'm from Wisconsin. She's from Minnesota. So we started talking about like Midwestern potlucks. I was doing a show for a while when I was doing stand-up in my living room that was like a potluck show where the comics cooked for the audience.
Oh my God, I love that.
Everybody had to bring a dish. I was like, no store-bought food or I'll kick you out. You don't get a set if you bring something from the store. Because I was having all of my friends at the time who weren't comics like come to these bringer shows at these clubs where they have to pay $20 for a ticket. It's a 2-drink minimum. They have to order shitty fries for like $15. And I felt like my friends were like doing such a service to me by coming to these shows. So it was like, all right, well, let's do a show that's the opposite, where it's like, hey, thanks for being a warm audience. Like, let me do this for you. So Maria and I were just sort of talking around that. And from there, we figured out we would do like a reverse open mic where she would, after her special, she would invite people in the audience to come up and perform a set so that she could sort of like share her special with others. Cause it's like her maybe 7th hour-long special at this point. So she's like, I'm good. I don't really need another one. Like, let's see if we can spotlight some other people with this. So it became like a potluck of comedy specials in a sense, where everybody brought a dish. And then we had a pizza party afterwards and filmed that. And so it was like very loose on the day. I wasn't calling cameras or anything. We had a great crew. The room's really small, so we were like pretty limited in terms of like the actual shots and stuff. But then the fun sort of like more creative piece of directing was like designing the experience before and after, like figuring out what the open mic would feel like, how that would come across on camera, how to shoot the pizza party, like just what other fun stuff we could pepper in. But like a dream experience really like made me feel confident that I could do it again, that it was fun. Maria was really happy. Like the date was easy. It was pleasant. Everybody had a good time. It's like, I think especially like having worked for a lot of male directors, people forget that like at the end of the day, you're managing a team, like you're in charge of people's well-being. It should be fun. Like it's a gift to get to do this job. And they don't realize that like that's part of their job as the director.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
I was a middle school teacher for a while. So just sort of keeping the train moving and keeping everybody happy is like, that's where I'm coming from with directing.
Just with adults now,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. That's so cool though. That's kind of like you almost directed almost a documentary or like along with, because you were doing so much digital content that was reality based, if you will, around the event too, which is great.
Totally.
I also love that potluck idea. That is so cute and just like it brings you back.
I know. I could see it.
It was really fun.
My head was twirling. I was thinking, I want to do a potluck.
Yeah.
People can come if they want. Do a minute or something.
Yeah.
People that don't even do stand up, that it just have always wanted to try
dish, make them a casserole. I mean, so what? It should be a good time. At the end of the day, you shouldn't leave feeling bad. You should be happy. So feed them. Yeah.
Amazing.
So for the listeners who do not know, you have worked on several shows that surround magic. So take us through how you write for something that's a prank show or maybe semi-unscripted. Also, how did this happen? Do you love magic or did you just lead on to the next and the next and the next?
And also, Hannah should mention that she loves magic.
I do.
I feel like I like witches and stuff, but I don't really like magic. I feel like you like magician shit.
Of course. I
feel like I don't trust
really
magicians.
Weird obsession with Chris Angel for a very
long
time, and honestly, that obsession still holds true to this day. He's fantastic. And then
he seems kind of sketchy to me.
No.
It happened accidentally. I wouldn't call myself like a lifelong magic fan. I like magic. Like, I love to see close up magic. It's a skill that's like incredibly impressive. And I also love anyone with like a really hyper specific niche interest. Like, those people really speak to me. So anyone who like devotes their life to the craft of magic, I'm like, wow.
Good for you.
Yep. But no, it happened completely accidentally. After I worked on Arrested Development, the first like writing job from the jump I got, because on Arrested Development I started as the writer's assistant, and I got promoted by the end of that season. But so then I was finally able to like get staffed on shows as a writer after that. And the first job I happened to get, I just wrote a packet for. They were taking submissions for the second season of Magic for Humans. Tim and Eric's company absolutely produces that because Dave Kneebone, who is sort of like on the business side of their company, is a huge magic guy. Like, he loves magic, and he's like a talented magician himself. So they actually produce a lot of magic content at Absolutely. So I got that job just through writing a packet of like stupid jokes. And it was really fun. It was like there were maybe 4 of us in the room who were purely comedy writers, and there were 3 like world-class magicians in the room. And they were telling us that the first season they spent a lot of time trying to explain to the comedy writers how magic worked, but that they didn't feel that that was like helpful. Not because like they didn't want to share the secrets or whatever, but because then the comedy writers were sort of like getting hung up on the mechanics and of what was possible and how would you do this. And they were like, well, that's not really like what we need you guys for. Like, we got that. We'll figure out how to make things happen. Like, just come up with the funniest version of like what you would like to see, and we'll figure out whether or not we can do that. So we were idiots the whole time. Like, I never knew. I still don't know how magic works. I've worked on like 4 magic shows. I don't get it. Like, I know like 2 tricks because I was like drunk at the Magic Castle begging the magicians, like, my nephew and niece are going to be mad at me if I don't know how to do a magic trick at this point. Like, teach me something,
Literally.
God damn it. So they did, but like, we would just be sitting there like idiots. Like, what if you could squirt soy sauce out of your nipples? And then they'd be like, okay, yeah. Like, we just were sort of pitching stupid stuff, and then they would
That sounds fun. It's like
out.
blue skying it, you know?
It was fun. Yeah, it's really fun. I love working on magic shows because it's like, you know, anything goes. It's like, what can you think of? And then somehow months later you sit and watch the show and you're like, oh, he really is squirting soy sauce out of his nipples, which was a collaboration between me and Sarah Squirm from SNL. So that was our stupid sit down in the writer's room idea and figure out like what we would like to see a handsome and charismatic magician do. And naturally it feels right that that's what we came up with. So
yeah, of course. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about your most recent experience in Vegas following the magicians around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like developing something with a really funny, great magician who has a stage show in Vegas that hopefully will go.
But I just think it's interesting that you were actually, it's almost like feels like field research or something. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being in the writer's room. It's like you were essentially following these people around and seeing like what they were doing on a daily basis, correct?
Yeah. We were just sort of like collecting stories for the show because obviously like the magic community is bizarre, especially like once you get to a level of success, it's really weird. So yeah, I just went out to Vegas for 72 hours to sort of see for myself what that's like. And it's a TV show.
I don't know why I picture this, but you know, like in Babylon when they're like in that party. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. In fact, I wasn't a huge fan of this movie, but they're like in that party that just like looks crazy where there's like elephants in there and like it's like a circus and there's like, you know, all of these weird things. I picture you like going into like a magic den like this where there's just a bunch of people doing weird shit. You know?
It is really funny because some of the stuff is like very mundane. You know, it's like I've been on several jobs where it's like we visit one job I was on, our writer's room was in the magician's like warehouse, his like magic prop warehouse. Like that's where we set up the table and you could see like their tubs of stuff. that they keep for all of these different tricks that they've done through the years. And it's just like, it's so funny to just be sitting there with like, I don't know, like mannequin arms or what, you know, whatever bizarre magic,
Ages,
like,
or
yeah, right. Exactly. Cans of dog food. You're like, what's that for? It's really fun. Now, for someone who has a occasionally hard time focusing, it's yeah, there's a lot to look at, so that's cool. Keeps you interested.
I feel like I would definitely be distracted in there with my ADHD for sure.
Really.
So, Bri, the question that this podcast is based around is, what was something you were scared of doing in your film and TV career that you said let's to because a woman empowered you to do so, and who was that woman for you?
My first like long-term job in TV was on season 1 of Lady Dynamite on Netflix, Maria Bamford's show based on her life, which is a hilarious show. If anybody hasn't checked it out, I am so proud to have worked on that. So lovely and a wonderful like female run experience. Pam Brady was our showrunner, and she's a genius, incredible, brilliant comedic mind. She was like the number 3 on South Park. So it was like Matt, Trey, and Pam. And I started out as the writer's PA. I just happened to have been doing like a 2-week job beforehand, getting sandwiches for the people that were in there previously. And then it was like right place, right time. Hey, we need someone else to like keep getting lunches. You're here. Do you want to stay? And, you know, I'm so overeager. So I was like, yeah, of course. And the writers were great, and they knew that I wanted to write and that I did stand up. And Maria let me open for her at a very small bookstore show. At the time, it would have been like maybe 2015. So the writers came to that and saw and were like, hey, that was pretty good. So after that, they were like very encouraging about coming into the room and sitting in. But, you know, I'm Midwestern. And so we're very like, no, I couldn't impose. No, I couldn't. No. You know, it's like we're just humble to a fault, or like deferential to a fault, rather. So at one point, maybe halfway through the season, the writer's assistant at the time, which is actually like quite an important position. I would say it's more of like a mid-level position. I was a PA, so that's like very entry-level position. You have a lot to do, like a lot of responsibilities, but it's less hands-on. You're not like learning in the room. Whereas a writer's assistant, for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, is you're in the room, you're taking the notes, you're managing the scripts, everything's coming through you. Occasionally, if you're in a friendly room, you're pitching jokes. So it's like a very, very effective training ground if you want to be a TV writer, to start as a writer's assistant and get your feet wet that way. We had someone who left, who quit to take another job as a writer's assistant on another show. So we had an opening. Someone else came in. He was a huge asshole. I think a huge misogynist, like did not taking orders from the 2 women, Pam and Teresa Mulligan Rosenthal, who's another brilliant, legendary comedy writer who was our co-EP at the time. Did he do any
research on like what the show was or anything?
I don't think so. I think he was just showing up to take a job, and he was just a dick. So he got fired. So there was a position opened up as a writer's assistant, and I remember Pam asked if I wanted to do it, and I didn't. You know, this happens when you look back, when you're like, you idiot, like, how can you not realize that was like such a big opportunity? But I didn't at the time. I was just happy to be there. And I was loving being a PA, where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I've never done that before. I'm not sure if I know. It seems like kind of like high stakes. I don't want to mess anything up for anyone. And there was another PA, an office PA, who was working not in the writer's room, but was in the production office. And he had been a writer's assistant previously on another show. So I remember being like, oh, maybe he should do it. He has experience. Like, I just didn't think of myself in that. I was like, surely someone else who's already done this would be better. And I remember Pam seemed like kind of like surprised and disappointed, where she was like, are you sure? Like, you don't want to try? And I was like, no, that's okay. It's okay. I don't know. Like, I'll figure it out. Maybe next season. You know, I was just sort of, I'm sure I was scared. Like, I wasn't aware of being scared at the time, but I'm sure that was part of it too. Like, yes, being Midwestern and not wanting to think you're, you know, too big for your britches or whatever, but also being really intimidated. But I had another coworker. She was maybe a production coordinator. And she was like, you should be doing that. He should not be doing, you should be in that room. Like, you've been there with them. You know all the stories. Like, you know, these writers, like, you're ready to go. Like, you should you should go back to Pam and Malsey and say, like, I would like to also be a part of this. Like,
Also,
can we
you
do
loved
it?
her. You loved
Yes,
Maria.
I'm a
You know
huge,
what I
I've
mean?
been a huge fan.
Fan.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
it was like a perfect match for my like sense of humor and my taste and all of those things. So I did go back, and this other guy, the writers, the office PA, who we shared the position and we did it together. He was great, and he was like very good at, you know, working together. It didn't feel competitive or stepping on toes or anything. He was like very happy to be, obviously, to have been like handed that opportunity from me. So there was no like there was no bad blood there. But I went back to Pam and was like, hey, like, I've never done this before, but I actually think I can figure it out. Like, would it be okay if we do it together? Like, I'd like to do it. And she said, like, yes, absolutely. So I don't think that I would have put myself up for it in that way. I don't think it would have occurred to me if someone hadn't pointed it out. I think it would have been a thing where years later, looking back, I would have been like, damn it, you really missed a huge chance there. So I was very glad to have.
Who knows if you would have even directed her special nowadays,
Right, totally.
or if you would have moved up in the room if you hadn't have done that, you know?
Totally, yeah. We got to write a song together, me and the other writer's assistant, for the final episode. We wrote, there's like a musical number with a dead pug puppet. So they let us have a chance to try writing the lyrics for that song, and we got to puppeteer the puppet arm. We had to do it was an amazing job. We had to do all kinds of fun stuff. So it worked out great, but it was a real come to Jesus moment that I reflect on a lot as a potential huge fuck up. So
thank goodness for, you know, the people being like, listen up, bitch. You need to get in this room.
Sometimes you sort of just need someone to slap you and be like, okay, get it together.
Yeah. I can definitely feel that. Well, we are back with I'm a blank, where we choose a movie or TV show and decide which character we are and the backstory of why.
This week, we will be going into the much loved, especially in this house, Bravo universe and becoming Housewives. The Housewives are iconic reality TV stars, and there have been several different cities highlighted on this show with a cast that often changes season to season.
And a fun fact about the Housewives is that I had never really even watched it before meeting with Bri, although my old roommate and previous guest, Braxton, had watched almost every season of every city. So sometimes I would like come in the living room and like hear people like ladies yelling or something. And I'd be like, who the hell are these? Are these the New York ones? Are these the Atlanta ones? Like, who are these ladies? So I asked Bri, because there's so many seasons and there's so many different cities. I was like, I don't even know where to start with this. So I asked Bri where I should start on, and I believe that you told me Potomac, Salt Lake City, and Miami were all good options, especially because I think they were like the newest ones that were also kind of still airing at the time.
Yep.
It didn't take me long to catch up, that is for sure. I have now seen almost every Housewives franchise, except for I have never seen Beverly Hills, and I've never seen the OC, and I've never seen New Jersey. And the reasoning for that is because I felt like Beverly Hills and the OC was just kind of like too close to home. Like, it didn't feel as fun to me to like, because I know these bitches. They're all over here. You know what I mean? New Jersey is definitely the one that I want to get into next because I love the East Coasters, but there was also just so many seasons of that I was like, I don't know if I can start.
I still haven't watched OC or New Jersey. OC is like, I think the conservative ladies, I'm like, I don't know if that seems fun to me. And New Jersey to me is like, the family drama is too dark. I can't get it. I can't enjoy myself because it's too real.
I know. I feel like that's the one where, you know, people are going to jail, but I also did love Mob Wives, so I feel like I probably would love Jersey.
I think it's for you, yeah.
Usually during the segment, we just pick one character as who we would be in the backstory of why. But today, we're going to be picking 3 characters, which is honestly my dream because, as the listeners know, I always pick more than one. So today, we're going to choose our sun, moon, and rising housewife.
And for those of you who do not speak astrology or maybe don't live in LA, your sun is your core self. So what represents you the most? Your moon is your inner self and or emotions. and your rising is how the world sees you and your personality that you portray to like outside people or that you exude to the world. So Bri, who are your big three and what is the backstory of why? And also if you can mention where they are from as well. So when you say like their name,
Thrilled
be like,
to.
Yes.
Thrilled to be asked. You're welcome, and I'm sorry for cursing you with the Housewives. Okay, so I used to say, like, my son, I used to say Carol Radziwill from New York, but honestly, this week Carol Radziwill has been getting into drama with Andy Cohen on Twitter, and I'm like, Carol, we're better than this. Come on. Like, I thought she was like cool, carefree, fun, flirty. She's a writer, but sometimes she doesn't really write. You know, she's like too busy doing God knows what.
Dating. I don't even know.
Dating these hot younger chefs, just sort of like letting the animals just fuck up her couches. Like the vibes are there. Like I'm on Team Carol for sure. But I just feel weird picking her this week in particular because of this like somewhat embarrassing Twitter beef with Andy Cohen. Seems weird.
Can you tell us what is she doing?
They're like arguing because they like ended on a bad note. He like, in her words, begged her to be on the show. And then he like threw her under the bus because Bethany had everybody wrapped around her finger and Carol and Bethany had a fight. So there was a sort of weak expose on the Housewives kind of attempting to take down that like didn't really do it. But there was one housewife who was quoted anonymously in the article. And then Andy this week was like, oh, it was definitely Carol, and was sort of like poking fun at her for like anonymously sort of, you know,
like not being brave enough to just say it, you know?
Yeah. And then she just has been like really leaning in, doubling down, responding to all kinds of comments and stuff about like defending that move to be anonymous, which is like, whatever, her business is her business. But I'm just like, that doesn't resonate with me.
So maybe not your son.
I can't really picture that. So I guess I'm going to go Jenna Lyons. I feel Jenna Lyons, where I don't actually think I would be good on reality TV. But I think I'm an interesting person. I think I have a rich life, but it maybe doesn't translate. I would be confused by the drama. I would be sort of dissociating from the drama. I would be reluctant to, share my own. But I think I'd be like trying my best. So I think I'm going to pick Jenna Lyons as my son, which is aspirational, but why not? My moon, I got to go with my favorite housewife of all time, Sonja Morgan, also from Real Housewives of New York.
Knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I
fucking love Sonja Morgan. And I'm specifically thinking about the time where she's like, you don't touch the Morgan letters. And then she's crying. And anytime you talk to her about like her divorce and all those women were being so mean to her about how she's not allowed to feel about her divorce the way they feel about when their husbands died. And she's like, what? she's
like, it was like a death. It was like a death for me. And I'm
Which it was. And I feel you, Sonja, and you're allowed to feel that. And people don't understand, but I understand you, Sonja Morgan. I understand you. I love and support you. When she's like, I'm a comedian. And she's just taking her dress off. Whatever. She rocks. I love Sonja.
Yeah, she is so funny. And honestly, I think she was funnier than Luann in all of her stuff. Oh, yeah. Obviously.
Well, she's like doing a shtick. Luann, I love Luann. She's delusional, but she's sort of, it's working in her favor. 100%. Luann is like perhaps the best thing that's ever been given to reality TV, though. Her journey is just like Shakespearean levels of ups and downs. The gays love her, and rightfully so. And then finally, my rising. I'm going to pick Cynthia Bailey from Atlanta. I'm going to pick Cynthia Bailey because I think Cynthia Bailey, I relate to her sort of clumsy and childish attempts to manage her friendships. Yeah. The friendship contract. She gets really sensitive. Her feelings get hurt. She just wants to sort of celebrate and be with her girls. She's not mean. Like, she's never mean. She's never hurtful. She's never cutting. She's really just sort of doing her best, but she's just kind of fumbling through it. And yeah, I think that resonates.
Yeah.
Shout out Cynthia Bailey. I love Cynthia Bailey.
And just out of curiosity, your real sun is Virgo. What is your moon and what is your rising?
My rising is Scorpio, which is actually not Cynthia Bailey at all, interestingly. She's so not a Scorpio energy.
Definitely not. Also, Hannah's rising is
Are you
Scorpio.
Hannah?
That's why she
Yes,
is.
let's go.
Yeah.
Who, I wonder which housewife is like the most Scorpio.
Oh God. It's someone evil. Obviously.
I know. Like a Nene?
No.
Like a Bethany?
I almost think, unfortunately,
Erica Jane?
No, I think that Ramona is actually a Pisces. She gives like
maybe
evil,
Erica Jane.
I can see Erica.
Jane.
Yeah.
She's kind of ruthless. She'll do whatever it takes to survive. That's very Scorpio.
That's true.
It's very Scorpio. True. Do you know your moon?
My moon is Taurus. Taurus moon.
Oh, look at that.
I'm also a Taurus moon.
Oh,
nice.
You are. We almost have the same.
Okay, kindred spirits.
I know. And she's a Leo, so she was only born like a month before you.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, look at that. Well,
I'm excited to hear which housewives you guys pick.
Yeah, so my actual sun is a Libra, but as we mentioned earlier, I actually picked a mixture of two people for this only because I feel like they play off each other. They're from the same housewife season, which is the Real Housewives of Miami, and I picked Alexia and Marisol.
Nice. Wow, what a combo. It's so chaotic, Kay.
I know. And I think that's my son. I think that's the core of who I am.
I'm scared of you.
Okay, so this is the reason why. I struggled to figure out which one of these. Like, I kept like going back and forth. I was like, maybe more of her, maybe more of her. But I think I'm leaning more towards Alexia, and that's only because she has like wild, out there, bright and like fun fashion choices a lot of the time. She's a Taurus in real life. She's just like very aesthetically pleasing, and put together a lot of the time. Yes. And I think she thinks of like all the details. Like all of a sudden you see her earrings or her rings or something, and you're like, oh my God, they're the same chartreuse that her shoes are, or whatever it is. And I'm like constantly matching my makeup or like my earrings, or having like little nods in my accessories, my hair clips, whatever it is. And so Taurus and Libra also are both ruled by Venus as the planet of love. And I think she has tough love for the people that are around her. I think she does love like deeply, but I think she also loves almost meanly. And that definitely describes me. I am not very soft in the way that I love people. I'm like, get it together, you dumb bitch. You can do this. Why are you doing this? You know, Hannah can attest to that.
I can confirm.
Yeah. She also doesn't like take a lot of bullshit from people, which I think maybe in my 30s, I'm finally getting there where I'm just like, no, I'm not doing this, whereas in my 20s, I would have been a little bit more on the sidelines. But I also don't think I'm quite as bold as her in like the confrontational aspect that she has, because I think she is just like, no, and like gets right in people's faces. And that is probably not me, because I am then more like Marisol when the drama is going down, because I basically just like to sit back and watch everybody and drink my cocky or my cocktail, for those who are not aware.
Yep.
And like put my witty comments in the side, like she does whenever she gets in a confessional and she like makes the funniest statements ever about like how ridiculous all the drama is. That's definitely me. Also, both of them love like good drinks and good food. For Alexia, Marisol doesn't really eat, honestly. You never see that bitch eat. She just drinks like vodka. That's it. They're also Latinas. They love to dance and have a good time, and that is definitely me to my core. However, I put my moon as Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of Atlanta, because she says everything that she is ever thinking. And basically whatever she's thinking is what I'm thinking in my head in every situation, but I just don't dare to say, because most people don't dare to say it. She says some ridiculous shit, obviously. So she is almost like my inner devil, like on my shoulder. I can feel her in me. I can almost hear her. And I think it's because she gets annoyed by like everything which I also get annoyed by virtually everything. And she also thinks that she's like low key better than everybody in like a way. I mean, she does. She's always like, I'm rich, bitch. But I do think that sometimes, often in my head, I'm like, I'm too good to be doing this, or I'm like better than these people around me. Like, I shouldn't even be here. But I think it's also because, obviously, not around my friends, but I think it's also like this, like, living in Michigan and always feeling like I didn't really belong there and everyone was so boring to me. And also when I go home, I'm bored out of my fucking mind. I can't believe the things that people think are interesting. I'm like, okay, all right. But I also, you know, this is also where my comedy comes from, I think, too, because I am thinking all of these really funny things in my head. So they'll end up on my scripts or in my sketches or whatever. Obviously, I'm not saying them out loud to people. So because, I don't want to hurt people's feelings and stuff, but I do find it funny still. And she's a Sagittarius in real life. So she's got that fire
sign,
the fire burning within her, and my rising, which I think some people will find surprising, is Lisa Vanderpump from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She is a Virgo in real life, and I am a Virgo moon. So I feel that I have somewhat of a calming presence. Maybe not always, but now I do as I'm getting older. And I'm great in a crisis. And I feel like Lisa is like, even though she gets upset, she still is like very calm. Like she can always just like figure stuff out in a way. I'm also very organized, and people often come to me for advice or look to me for leadership. And I've always been a natural leader. I don't know if it's because I'm an only child and I just felt that I should be a leader at all times and then became one, or what that is. But I can also be super fun like Lisa. I feel like Lisa has like a playful side to her in some moments. You know what I mean? I think her accent makes her seem more serious than she actually is.
She's cheeky.
Yeah, she's definitely cheeky. But to my core, I'm also a business bitch. Like my real rising is Capricorn, which is all about making money and working. So, and I'm definitely militant about how I work, which is bad for me sometimes. So, but she also didn't get where she is by not being this way. So I will say that, she did let a lot of those servers get away with murder, but I think that in Sir Vanderpump, obviously, but I do also think that that was purposeful because she knew that it was making her money. So she's smart about it. She was like, well, of course we need the drama to happen because we need to keep having seasons and seasons of this spinoff of a show that I barely do anything for, but still make a lot of money for them. So I think only certain people in my life get to see me as like the Alexia or the Marisol version of me because I'm so hyper focused on like making my career happen and making the stream of writing happen for me. So I am more Lisa to the outside world, and that's what they get from me. But, the special people get the fun version.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. You don't know, Bri, but Kay knows. I've only watched the Beverly Hills season of Housewives. I've seen some of different seasons, whether I've been over here watching with you in Braxton.
Yeah, you've watched Miami and a little bit of Atlanta and stuff. Yeah.
But I only really know most.
There's a lot to choose from those Beverly Hills girls.
Exactly. I put my son as Lisa Vanderpump because... But I kind of feel like I kind of want to switch her to my rising and switch up my rising and my son because my rising is Kyle Richards.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to switch them. So
yeah, I think you need to.
Yeah, Kyle Richards is definitely my son. First of all, she's also an actress. She's Paris Hilton's aunt. Kathy Hilton's sister, who is fucking wild. Let's let that one be known.
Yes.
But she's so sweet and she cares so deeply about the people around her. But she also has a little, like, she's comedic. She has that comedic kick and she's very out there in her. I think she's also ADHD, which fits me because she's kind of all over the place like I am. But with Lisa, my rising, one, big dog lover, also big dog lover. I want to open a dog sanctuary later on in life at some point, and she has a dog rescue. Pump dogs. But she's also a businesswoman, and that my main thing is work. That's like my main focus. It's also a 24/7 thing, and I love it, but it's building for future. And I think that she also had that in mind, even within her relationships, like even being married. Her wealth is her own on top of having her husband. Like, she still wanted to have that, and she didn't want to necessarily just be a housewife. She opened up this restaurant. She went into business with her partner, which is like, that's my goal in life, is also to work with someone that I want that kind of relationship with a creative. So she's also kind of like mom-ish, very calm presence, like Kay said. And I feel like a lot of the people that I talk to always will point out, they're like, you just have such a calm demeanor about you that it makes me calm being around you, which I love, even if I'm dying on the inside. It's great that I can give that to other people, and I think that Lisa gives that to people. Moon.
Well, I was trying to think while you were talking, I was trying to think of who would be a good moon for her. Someone who definitely gets irritated and snaps very easily.
Yes.
And so first I was kind of thinking,
I hold it in for like as long as I can, but that once it gets to like a boiling point, I snap.
Erica Jane?
I was almost thinking one of the New York ladies.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm Pennsylvania. I admit that energy.
But I was like, which one of
Dorinda?
Oh,
dare I
yes.
say?
Yes.
I mean, how bad is it?
It's pretty bad.
Then that would be Dorinda.
Yeah. But Dorinda also, I mean, she speaks the truth, obviously. Usually when she gets mad about stuff, it is, I mean, she takes it too far, but it's also not true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say Dorinda. Now when you watch it, you
got
can
a
think
temper.
of her.
Oh, Jesus.
She likes.
My temper does not come out often.
She likes.
Known.
Well, neither does hers really. She usually.
Well, you get a couple dirty martinis in Dorinda, and it's like,
oh, she's a dirty
up the
martini
hatches.
bitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's my move.
Yeah. She
Oh, yeah.
loves the martinis.
I love a dirty.
I just saw a meme of her that was like, boobs are like martinis. You know, 2 of them are great. 3 of them, almost too much. And I was like, yeah, that's
almost.
Actually, yeah.
almost too much. Yeah.
That makes makes
Well,
sense.
Hannah, see if Dorinda's most excellent tagline resonates with you. My favorite housewife tagline ever was, "If you have a problem with me, that's your problem."
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We're back with one of our favorite segments called
How Did We Get Here? We are going to take a scenario, occupation, inciting incident, etc. from a TV show or film and imagine what it would be like if we were the characters.
The People's Joker is a dark fantasy film written by our lovely guest and directed by her friend Vera Drew. Kay and I have yet to see the film, but the trailer shows it's a wild ride of hilarity centering more queer voices than we have seen in superhero movies in the past or the present.
So, Bri, we would love if you would tell us a bit about your film, since we have yet to be able to see it, and how it came to be before you answer the prompt. But the prompt will be, today we will be becoming the Joker and using what we know about the vigilante in other movies to answer this. If you were somehow driven to insanity, like the Joker, what would your day job be, and what aspiring career would you have failed at? I know it's clown and a comedian or something in the real one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What things in society would you and your crew or your gang, whatever it is, be fighting against? And anything else that you want to add in here as your journey as this villainess or villain is?
Well, famously, I have never seen Todd Phillips' Joker. I know that I wrote a parody film of it. I still have not seen the movie.
That's kind of incredible.
Now you got to watch it and see how many similarities.
No, now I will officially never watch it.
Okay.
It's a weird story. This one's a weird story, gals. I'll take you back. It was right before COVID lockdown began. It was like very early 2020. Vera was a friend of mine from Absolutely as well. She'd been working there forever. We were Twitter pals, and it was right around when Todd Phillips, the director of Joker, had made some comments about how he had to give up working in comedy because he was previously a comedy director, directed the Hangover franchise and a bunch of other stuff. But he couldn't make comedy anymore because everyone's too sensitive and you can't make comedy anymore. And that's why he switched to hard drama with Joker. And we were like, that's so lame. I hate that you said that. Yeah. Also, what are you talking about? You just made like $1 billion making like the broadest comedy, like nobody
literally
tried to cancel
nothing.
You for the Hangover. Yeah. Like, what are you talking? Like, what? And, here's Vera, who's a trans woman, has been working in comedy for a decade. I'm a lesbian, I've been working in comedy for a decade. Like, and we're banging our heads against the wall trying to like continue to move up in the industry. So we just were annoyed enough that we decided that we should do a version of the Joker. So originally I paid Vera $12 on Venmo to do a recut of Joker because she was primarily an editor at Absolutely at the time. So I wanted to see like a Tim and Eric style remix of the actual Joker movie. She started doing that, quickly realized that actually she wanted to make a whole new movie about her experience as a trans woman in comedy and asked me if I would help her write the script for it. So that's how The People's Joker began. She was the last person I saw before lockdown. We watched Suicide Squad for research. That continues to be like the only modern Joker story that I have watched. I'm not a superhero fan. Vera is a huge fan. So she came with all the comic book lore. I came with sort of like a coming of age lens. That's like generally what I write, and it's a coming of age story. And then we both came with like a lot of rage about the comedy scene in general. So it's a very pointed takedown of the comedy industry. Lorne Michaels is the villain of the movie. It's a CGI Lorne. Actually, Maria Bamford is the voice of Lorne Michaels in the movie. So
stop. That's incredible.
Oh my God, I love that.
Tim Heidecker voices like a crazy right-wing nut job, and there's all kinds of other like great comedy folks who pop in and do voices. It's also largely animated. We shot the whole thing on green screen in 5 days, which is psycho. And then the rest of it is all filled in with animation that was contributed from over 100 queer and trans artists who volunteered their time to make a piece of the film. So parts of it are puppets, parts of it are doll sequences, parts of it are like 2D beautiful matte paintings. It's like really quite a wild ride. But the whole thing is like a very autobiographical story for Vera.
It's like mixed media up in there.
Yeah. It's like a really, really very like punk DIY aesthetic, mixed media, zany, crazy ride that I personally never really thought would go beyond like our friend group in LA, but has, since we've been screening at festivals all over the world, and we just had like a really great theatrical run that's still going in a lot of places in North America right now. We're preparing to expand from there, and we are releasing you can pre-order now, but there's DVDs, Blu-rays, and VHS releases coming in August for The People's Joker. So you can look that up and pre-order your copy. It's a great movie. I'm so proud of it. I never get tired of watching it. We were doing like a little bit of press before our theatrical run, and somebody asked me like, what's your Joker origin story this week? Like, what's making you crazy? And at the time I was in LA, and when I'm in LA, I just have a little studio in Silver Lake. I don't have a car. So being a pedestrian in LA is very fucked up. And so could I be like a traffic controller? Like,
you could.
I turn into like Grandpa Joker when I'm in LA because I feel that the cars are trying to run me over and kill me just for existing, just for crossing the street, for daring to be on the road with whatever psycho is behind his Tesla, who's like allegedly has somewhere really important to be and did not leave early enough. And somehow that's my fault. So like,
100%.
How dare I walk when I have the walk sign? Like, it just makes me crazy. The number of times that I fear for my life, like walking down the street in Los Angeles. So yeah,
so
I
you
would
could
say
be a crossing guard.
I would be a crossing guard. Yeah. And my Joker like goals with my Joker crew would be to just like kind of eliminate cars in general especially from Los Angeles, and maybe introduce some more effective public transportation so that the city becomes, I don't know, a little more livable, a little more comfortable, A little more enjoyable for everyone. I don't know. Sounds crazy, but
I don't know. You can get places in less than an hour. You know,
how about
that's
that?
only a
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be the dream.
I picture you having like special, to make this more like villainous, I picture you having like these special like tools or something, like maybe even like a certain type of gun that like shoots nails into people's tires or some shit. You know what I mean? So when they're coming by, but it's like secretive, so it doesn't really look like a gun. So the people who piss you off, you can basically ruin their cars. You could even have one of those things like when people steal cars. You know, where they have like these new devices where they like put something on your car and it like makes it like shut down or like, you know,
that
what I
would
mean?
be incredibly satisfying for me, and also does feel relevant because the Batmobile is like, I could picture some idiot driving the Batmobile around Los Angeles, and that would be like the final feather in my cap to destroy this stupid Batmobile.
Maybe the Batmobile is like the new version of the Tesla truck or whatever, but it's
the
actually
Cybertruck. Oh,
yeah. That's what I mean. Maybe
that's
it's
perfect.
Like, and so you are eliminating those. Maybe they start taking over the city. You see more and more and more of them, and they have really bad brakes, and so they are hitting people, children even. Look at this.
Bastards. These sick bastards.
The Tesla trucks are probably the ugliest cars I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, agreed.
I thought
clown behavior.
I thought literally
worse.
I thought that they were recalled.
They were recalled. Yeah. Fucking Elon.
Yeah, didn't he try to shoot one to like demonstrate how it could withstand anything, and then it shattered the window? Can you imagine being the richest person in the world and being so uncool?
I feel like
how do you pull that off?
Like most of the richest people in the world are uncool.
Yeah, that's probably why they're addicted to hoarding wealth.
What's the guy's name who owns Amazon that looks like a turtle?
Jeffrey Bezos.
Yes.
Daddy Jeff.
Yeah, looks like a turtle.
What's funny is my father's name is Jeff. So when you just said Daddy Jeff,
Jeff,
I was like, well, that is my dad. Maybe not my daddy, but my dad. And his last name also starts with a B. Look at that.
Bezos?
Well, yeah, my dad is Jeff Bezos. I'm just cosplaying as a poor person here.
What are we doing? Come on, let's just make our movies. What's the problem?
Yeah, I don't know.
Call up Papa Jeff.
He won't release the funds. I don't know. Trust fund. I gotta hit 35. See if I can.
If his ex-wife could take millions from him, you can do the same.
I know. Maybe we could kill him. I think that would be actually a good movie if somebody was the
billionaires.
No, if somebody was the kid of a very famous billionaire, and them and their friends wanted to make movies or start a production company, but their dad wouldn't fund it, so they figure out how they're going to kill him so that they can get the money to then start that.
That's probably happened at some point in this crazy, crazy town.
It has to.
I feel like
those kids don't like their parents.
No, they don't.
No. Well, getting back to the Joker, my version of the Joker would be a person. I went back and forth on what I wanted them to do, but and then I got pretty carried away, which is natural for me. But I want to have a person who works at one of those bouncing gyms. You know, like those ones that are for tumbling, like the trampoline,
like a Sky Zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where like the kids go for their birthdays, or like ex-cheerleaders such as myself go to be like, I wonder if I could still do a back tuck. Let's go to the bouncy gym.
Little fun fact, my old boss that was like the president of the old company that I worked for used to own Sky Zone. Like his dad started Sky Zone.
He should have killed him.
Wow, he's a trampoline Nepo baby. Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Came from our wealth came from tramps. You know,
tramps.
Just say that, tramps, and people can wonder if you mean escorts or what you mean. You know, but I think that these places are somewhat dangerous and also ridiculous. But that's just showing what a raggedy old person I am now, that I'm like, oh, I don't know about these places. Seems like you could get hurt. You know, it feels very clown-esque to me, though, like in the realm of clowning, to be like at one of these tramp places. However, this person would be a failed gymnast, okay, who did not make it to the Olympics. And so, or something. And I'm thinking like their origin story would be kind of like Tanya Harding-esque, where they grow up like super poor and they have like abusive parents or something that are just trying to use them, their gymnastic skills for their own good, kind of, which I think was kind of Tanya's story, but I don't really remember that movie that much, unfortunately. So they put her on like the bars and the balance beam and stuff when she's like an infant, and just like let her fall off and stuff. It's sort of like, oh, you will learn to balance today. So the backstory to this idea is that I used to be obsessed with Dominique Mucciano. I don't know if anybody remembers her, but we're almost the same age, so I feel like you have to remember.
Yes, of course.
So I grew up as a gymnast as well, obviously not anywhere near Olympic status. But when I read her biography book when I was a little girl, I felt this like eerie feeling, even as a kid, that like something was up with her parents, like that they were like abusing her or something, even in a book that was like technically, not really supposed to be about that. There was just like this weird feeling. And then later I found out that she had emancipated herself from her parents because after they stole $4 million from her to build a tumbling gym. Look at that.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. And so that would be, I'm stealing her story basically to put in my
You're giving her justice.
Yep. So perhaps I also want to do something where like her backstory is just that her parents worked her so hard as a gymnast too, that like her limbs didn't grow right or something, and now she can't tumble. Ooh. Like something was fucked up with her body, because I feel like everyone who grew up as a gymnast, like I have horrible back problems. I'll never be right again, And also she can never have kids either in my story. However, there's a new drug on the streets in Gotham. We're going to set this in Gotham, that helps loosen her muscles and stretch her limbs in a way that she can perform once more. Okay. And I also, but like only after like a certain extent. So after hours, she takes this drug alone. And I picture like a montage in the gym, kind of like in like Footloose or something, where she's, doing all these crazy tricks that she couldn't do before. But she's also high as hell, doing them. And I guess it kind of reminds me of Love Lies Bleeding when she does all the steroids and she's, doing all that stuff. So also the Joker will have a relationship with Poison Ivy, actually, because the drug on the streets is partially made of her poison. So she is the one who like distributes it. And so they have one of those like, we're in love, but we're also both on drugs type things that you have. I'm mixing a bunch of
Panic in Needle Park, of course.
Yeah, I'm mixing like a ton of different movies together, kind of. Apparently in Harley Quinn, the cartoon on HBO, we also find out that Poison Ivy is queer. So I thought that she was a good choice. Yeah. And also, obviously, I'm into her because look at my fucking hair. So also, I think she will find a community of queers who are also forced into doing sports as kids and all now have disabilities or health issues because of it. So we're going to be fighting the mayor in New York City that wants to take away universal health care, which we magically have in my world. We do not have now.
Amazing.
And also, he has some sort of issue with emancipating yourself from your parents. So he's trying to take away the emancipation rights of people as well, because there's rising crime problem among gangs of kids. Apparently, there's a ton of gangs of kids all over New York who my Joker will also recruit as her followers. All these. So she has like a kid and a queer group of people behind her. So I think in the end, my Joker will kill her parents. And then also her goons will kill the mayor. And Batman will not save the day. And the city will have to put in a replacement mayor who is a woman. And overall, no one will be sad about any of these deaths because they were for the greater good. So it will be dark yet effective. And that
wow. I'm seated.
Yeah. This is happening. We got to think.
I can see the like Joker-fied onesie, the singlet, the gymnastics singlet now. There's a lot of costuming opportunities there. I love it.
I mean, we could get hooked up with your friend, and they could turn the gym into a Joker theme.
Yeah. Oh my God.
For the movie's release, everyone could come. That's where the party could be. That's where the release could be. and they could keep it like that for months while we're in theaters.
Yeah.
So where are we going?
That's
Where
beautiful.
are we going with you?
Mine is not going anywhere near there, actually. Mine is going to be based in LA, but Gotham, LA. So kind of similar, just Los Angeles. And my Joker is going to work at an animal shelter before the acid crisis, because isn't that how the Joker becomes the Joker? He falls in acid, or is that Harley Quinn?
Yeah, sure that's part of that's something.
Yeah, it's
I'm pretty sure it's
I
Harley.
think it was the Joker. The Joker is the one that fell in acid, and then Harley was the doctor to take care of him, and then he became evil.
Oh, that's why his face is like all fucked up. Wait, why? I thought that was Two-Faced or something.
No. You're
going to know more. I don't know shit about superheroes. The only thing I know is The Boys.
I'm 99.9% sure that's how
continue
it goes. So
on
we're
this
just going to
road.
go with that and hope for the best. I talk a lot on this podcast about my love of animals, specifically dogs, and my dream of opening up my own like animal sanctuary rescue one day. So currently in LA, shelters are overcrowding. Honestly, like all over, they're overcrowding. And that's leading to a lot of these animals that are just going in to be like on the list for euthanasia or getting euthanized for no reason other than overcrowding, and there aren't enough fosters or aren't enough people who want to adopt them. So I think my Joker would team up with Harley Quinn here, because let's be so real, she's a badass, and she also is an animal girly herself. So just like a lot of the people in the real world, my Joker and Harley like and relate to those animals more than they can humans, because there's a lot of unconditional love that they never fully felt before. So a lot of the street dogs would end up being brought into the shelter by the Joker and Harley because of this. So when the dogs started to disappear, they then investigated. So in the end, they fight the evil owner of the dog shelter and whoever is in charge of the city. May be I don't know who the fuck is in charge of the city at that point, like within my fake version. I don't know.
Zaddy Newsome, obviously.
Okay, yeah. They go and they essentially fight Daddy Newsome.
Zaddy.
He has kind of Two-Faced vibes when we think about it.
He honestly does. There's something. He's a little too charming, a little too good looking. I think something.
Almost as if he has a secret dark side that he's not.
Either way, they fight Zaddy Newsome and the owner of the shelter, and then they recruit these dogs and they train them, and the dogs fight with them.
Ooh.
And the cats. Ari's fighting me over here.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Ari, you saw that in the screen. Yeah. That's how Catwoman, you know what? They team up with Catwoman and Batman at this point then. Everybody's
the
a
bats
team.
The bats come.
Everybody's a team. And you know what? Look at that. Peace for all.
Penguin. There's a penguin in the mix.
Honestly, this works out perfect.
Why did they have so many animals? They also have Batwoman, too. You could get Batwoman in there as well.
Throw them all in the... Why not?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Different.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's really beautiful. Okay, so that's my version of the Joker.
Wow. We have gone We've gone completely off the rails here, but now that we have become villains, next we have Let's Hear It for the Girls.
So since we love to end on a positive note, Let's Hear It for the Girls is a segment where we shout out the female identifying people in film and TV that you, the listener, should know about.
These are the emerging or maybe slept on creatives that you can support and check out in the future. So, Bri, who are some of these individuals that in your life that you are saying let's do, that are killing it right now, and why?
I mentioned Vera, the director and co-writer on People's Joker. She's amazing. She just edited another incredible young trans filmmakers. I think it's maybe her fourth or fifth feature, and she's like 19 years old. She's an Australian filmmaker named Maio Mackay.
What?
She's incredible. She does like trans horror films. She's so cool. And Vera just edited her latest movie, Carnage, for Christmas. So I can't wait to see that. But you could check out all of her other movies also. I'm a huge fan of Ryan Asher. She's like a character comedian, live performer in LA. She's so funny. She's from Chicago, popping up on shows more and more. She's brilliant. Tran is like a dear old friend of mine, also an amazing stand-up performer. She just was on How I Met Your Father, got a ton of new stuff. I think they're working on something together. I can't wait to see. Chandler Levack.
Was she one of the main characters, like the sister, the adopted sister?
Yeah, she plays Ellen. Yep.
Oh, iconic. She's so funny.
Yeah,
she's the
so
best.
funny.
Yep. We had our first ever comedy writing job together. We got paid $500 each in college to write jokes for our film department's awards show.
Wow.
And now here we are. How about
that?
Really satisfying. Long friendships are like the most important thing, I think. Investing in long-term friendships. The other two I wanted to shout out, Chandler Levack is a Canadian filmmaker. She's a writer-director, and she just had her first feature premiere. I saw it at Toronto Film Festival when People's Joker premiered in 2022. It's called I Like Movies. It was like my favorite movie that I saw that year. It's about this like little fuckface named Lawrence who works at like basically a Blockbuster in Canada, and he wants to make movies more than anything, and he doesn't know how to be a person. And that movie made me laugh so hard. It made me cry so hard. I just can't wait to see what Chandler Levack does next, and would highly recommend everybody checking out I Like Movies.
I love that you call the person a little fuckface. I haven't heard that in so long.
He's so good.
So good. Well,
he's so real to me, Lawrence. He's such an asshole, but he's just a tragic asshole, and I just love him. He's a real person in my heart forever.
Amazing.
And then just someone who I don't know personally. I've met her a handful of times back when I was doing stand-up, but I just think she should be huge. Marcella Arguello. She's so funny. Incredible stand-up and writer. She has an HBO special, Bitch Grow Up, which I loved. And she just, her politics are really good, and she keeps it very real, especially at a time where I think a lot of comics are not saying the things that we really need to be saying. Marcella says them. So I think Marcella deserves all the flowers.
I gotta watch that now.
It's very funny.
I just love that title.
Okay, so Bri, now, what are your next endeavors, and what can people look out for of yours in the near future?
I wrote on a show called The Joe Schmo Show. Everyone should bully TBS to release it, because we have been sitting on that show for so long. They announced it. They put out a promo for it. Where is it? I want to watch the show. It's supposed to be on TBS, and then it's supposed to be on HBO Max. Can I watch the show, TBS? The Joe Schmo Show? I want to watch the show.
I
love that title.
Joe Schmo.
It's a reboot.
Show.
It's a reboot. We filmed it at the same time as Jury Duty, and it's like the same sort of premise of a fake reality show where one guy thinks it's real. Yeah, they did it in the early 2000s, so we got to bring it back with a bunch of people from Tim and Eric's company, absolutely, and a incredible cast of like local comics and clowns and performers, and it was so fun to make. So I want to watch it.
We want to watch it as well, everyone.
Yeah. And then I just wrote an adaptation of Jane Austen's first novel, Northanger Abbey. I wrote it as a lesbian love story, as I feel the book is so gay. So I would love to make that movie. So if anybody wants to make that, I have it ready, and give me a ring. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's call her up. Where can people find out about the People's Joker? Like where they can see it, or the things that are happening with it? Just on the website, or what's the best like avenue to?
ThePeoplesJoker.com has all the most up-to-date information for screenings and how to get the DVD or the VHS if you want to be retro. I don't know if anyone is listening who's in La Crosse, Wisconsin, but I'm doing a Q&A for a screening of the movie there on July 25th. So that will be very fun. So there's still a couple in-person screenings happening throughout the summer.
Okay.
But thepeoplesjoker.com has all the info.
Perfect. Well, thank you for hanging out with us today.
Thank you so much. This was fun. Thanks, gals.
Of course. Yes, we will have many more Let's Stories. How did we get here? I'm a blank, and Let's Hear for the Girls in future episodes, along with several other fun-filled segments and guests.
In the meantime, make sure to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok at OCS Productions. And hey, guys, why don't you let us know which segments you love, which segments you really fucking hate? Because, we have a lot more video content as of late. And we really want to hear from you.
Yeah, maybe we'll get rid of them if you hate them enough.
Yeah.
Probably not, but perhaps.
Maybe.
You never know.
If you're lucky.
Power.
So, also.
And if you let us know.
Yeah, if you don't let us know, we'll never know. That's what happens with those kind of things. So also please rate us lovely 5 stars, sparkling 5 stars, wherever you listen to podcasts, but only 5. If you're going to rate less than 5, don't bother rating at all. And write us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we will catch you next time for more She Said.